and Anne Cooper, and Gerlinde, which I probably mispronounced. Well, I bet you're right. Sorry about that.
Anne's not here.
So Anne's not here, is that right? Okay. Mariana, perhaps you could introduce yourself and talk to the 3 points that we're trying to focus on.
Hello, my name is Mariana Waboso. I'm a resident of Cressingham Gardens. I will have to point out of the point Councillor Ensley has talked about. I have points to raise. 1 point is I would like the committee to look into the People's Plan. To look into the People's Plan thoroughly. And it will be shameful that after you looking into it, if this issue is taken to court, to know that I live in Lambert where it will be judged unlawful, that the cabinet members here have not done their duty. And I know some of you have. You all are not the same. Another point is about accounting. As residents who live in Cressingham Gardens, I'm speaking on behalf of residents. I'm a tenant. Also, the leaseholders were once tenants and the freeholders were once tenants. The issue about money. Don't talk about money, but I'm talking about money. Reason why I'm talking about money is this. When the issue of finance dropped to our doorstep, 20 hours to come back with the result. I'm a carer with 2 vulnerable adults. I can't even put them to bed as to look after finance. And asking somebody else to do that finance for me really took them 2 weeks. So how would I have come up to say, yes, demolish my home, no, don't demolish my home? On another point is this. I don't really think my council really consider the issue of the residents that is listening to us. My council is not listening. Please listen to us tonight. I hope you will. Have compassion. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gerlinde. I'm one of the residents on the estate. My background is quite diverse, but I have been a banker at one time, so I do understand financials, to the horror, I think, of some of the officers. But I really do hope you do read the residents' response. It does look like the...
Can I just ask you about this? This is the document that we received very late today.
Yes, but...
It's not signed, or it doesn't say...
Would you like me to sign it now?
No, it's just, it says it's the residents' response. I just wonder on what basis it's called the residents' response, how many residents participated in it, because there's no indication on the paper.
Yes,
so I don't know how to give
there's a lot of them, but as you would, if you understood the People's Plan, there's been a community discussion ongoing for a number of months. So this is accumulation.
Again, on the People's Plan, there's no indication of how many or which residents were involved in drawing that up. So
we can, if you want the details, this is the questions that should have come back to us when we submitted it, which haven't come back. So you've raised some very good questions. It's why the officers haven't asked those questions. Because we can provide those. We have close to 100 feedback forms completed by residents with their own ideas. We've run numerous outdoor sessions with residents. We've had various events. If you want the full list of what we've done, it is proper consultation and it's a community discussion with residents actually coming up with the ideas. We've worked with actual technical experts. We've raised external money to get the funding for those experts, both crowdfunding but also through grants. So you're a very, very good question, but that is a question that the officers should have asked us, and they never did, because that is very clearly a question that's very pertinent.
I just worry slightly. I can understand why it's branded in the way that it is, People's Plan and a residence form, response to, but there is no evidence on it of who was involved and how they were involved. and 100 feedback forms, which may have a whole diverse, I'm assuming, would have a diverse range of views about different things, doesn't sound indicative of the whole.
But you obviously haven't read it. Can I just say, one, we did a survey last year. All this takes time in our spare time, okay? So last year we went around and door knocked and asked people what they wanted. It was a 72% household response rate. 86% said they wanted refurbishment. Only 4% said they wanted demolition. Another 4% said they wanted to move away, and the rest weren't quite sure. Now that is a very clear mandate. It was a very clear set of questions. Now, your questioning on the timing, we got the response from the council. That did not come out a week before this meeting. It came out last Tuesday. So again, we have to read, this comes back to Anne's point, all this, 38 pages, respond to it, go and check everything. And you know what, I find it quite disrespectful, but when I start getting to the end of the page, I'm at 10 p.m. at night time, we've all got commitments, and I'm personally reading, oh, they didn't actually answer the questions. And I can see, I think I know some of the stuff that's come from one particular officer. I mean, they haven't even bothered to label some of the axes. So they put a graph in there, but we don't know what it means. You say, I want, how many estates that cost more than 16 grand? Doesn't do that. She just copy and paste an FOI response, which is the leaseholder's bills over 20 grand. They haven't answered these questions. And you want us to come back. If you want, I'll take it back and I will go around, we'll get the residents to go around and get everyone to sign it if you like.
That's not what I'm asking.
Let's need to go back, because these are the bigger issues, because you are, as councillors, responsible for the taxpayers' money and financial viability of this council. And there are some major issues, and I'd like to bring up, one is the HRA account. Now, we've been asking for I don't know how long for the full HRA business plan. Now, in 2014, because we were told you can't afford it. Now, we had to resort to a Freedom of Information request to get it. We did eventually get the 30-year HRA business plan, and we were able to show, and it's all part of the court records, that you could actually afford the refurbishment of Cressing Gardens. However, there was a very tight HRA debt headroom. So you're capped at your debt levels at £408 million. This year, you're supposed to you reach a debt level of £403 million. So you only had £5 million of spare capacity in a single year. But still, you spread out the refurbishment costs you could have afforded Cressing Gardens. We get to the second consultation after the High Court has quashed your original ruling on the basis that you've never proven that you couldn't afford it. And then we ask again. We want to see the HRA business plan, because that's one of the fundamental reasons it's why we've been put into regeneration. In 2012, it was about money, the fact you didn't have the money. It was not presented. All through this consultation, we kept asking. We've done FOIs, and you know what? Went to the cabinet. There's still no HRA business plan. It's come out afterwards through the FOI and through the link now. It's still just a summary. It's not the full one. And you can see my absolute shock when I saw those numbers. Do you realise now that your HRA debt has now dropped to 350 million? You actually have 52 million next year in spare debt capacity. Now, in the latest numbers, the council's now saying it's going to cost 9.4 million to refurbish Cressingham over 10 years. That's less than £1 million per year. But you can borrow up to 50 million. So why, my question here, is suddenly, all at once, the reasons change now. Now that they're saying, oh, it's the affordability of the debt. So what do they mean is the affordability of the debt? Now, that HRA business plan is very, very worrying, because it basically shows you're bankrupt in 2 years. The HRA is bankrupt. Now, that means all social housing now is risk. So you've got a choice. Now, you should be going back and absolutely scrutinising it, because the HRA is bankrupt in 2 years, even without the refurbishment, so you can't finish the major works programme, so you're legally in breach of the Decent Homes programme. And that means there's something fundamentally wrong in housing. But that's saying, we're talking about Cressingham, you can get the raise of debt for Cressingham. You can't just change your reasons overnight. The second issue is we've now finally, they're presenting the budget. There was no budget included in the Cabinet report. We now see it's going to cost over £1 million, almost £2 million for the next phase. Now that's not small money. If you think of what could be done in each of your portfolios for the people of Lambeth with that type of money. Now you might say, hey, it's a good investment, but you need to consider the risks. So the latest set of numbers presented by the Council is that for 60 years, over 60 years, the NPV will only be 0.8 million. This is on a £110 million development. Now 0.8 over 60 years, that's basically your profit over 60 years. It's less than a million. If you have cost overruns of just 1%, you're in the negative, you are loss making. Who's going to put that money up? And this is using council's money. And if you think of 0.8 million, divide that by 60. It's really bad finance maths, so I don't encourage it. But that's only 13 grand a year. That is 3 kitchens.
Okay.
So
I've given you lots of time. I did ask some questions, so I've given you extra time. But if you could start.
But this is a major issue. Is one, it's committing now over £1 million of taxpayers' money, sold off all the assets, on the risk that this plan, even at this stage, is looking not viable. That now it gets proven in the next 6 months, 9 months, is not viable. They should be running sensitivity analysis. We requested in this document sensitivity analysis on some key variables. The officers didn't bother. Why? I really want to know. They're really simple. Just change one number. So they need to understand what the risks are. And I can go on about the maintenance. There is no cyclical maintenance. They assume you just do basic maintenance for 60 years. You still have to replace windows. You still have to replace roofs. All those costs are missing. And it's inadequate to say, oh, it's in the build rates for other things. The transparency needs to be there. And the scrutiny is not happening at the moment. It's only the residents who are scrutinising this. And I hope tonight that this committee looks at this and understands the risk that they're signing off to the viability of this council. Because if this project goes wrong, you're putting the whole Lambeth Council into jeopardy and financial bankruptcy.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we will have the opportunity to hear from and ask questions of, and when I say we, I mean the members of the committee, as residents have an opportunity to put their questions, and we will include them in the things that we can ask. And